The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madeir, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Welcome back to the Forever Fab podcast and my interview with Sue Devitt. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Shirley.
You're running to an important meeting and you don't have much time. You are on the run. You take a few things with you. What are the basic products that you absolutely are showing up with, not without? You're not showing up without.
Okay. Critically important is foundation, concealer, a little pressed powder. I like an eyeliner pencil that you can sort of smudge on and do a quick smoky eye. You've seen me do that in 2 minutes.
You literally did your makeup in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
And then just something for the lip. Yeah. A little tiny touch on the cheek. I think I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not. It just brings you alive. And all of a sudden you look polished and you look confident and you look like you're ready for a meeting.
Yes.
I think if you're having a business meeting or any kind of meeting, if you're spending time with someone, just show up looking polished.
Yes.
You don't have to be glamorous.
Right.
Polished is good enough. You know, it's nice.
Professional and polished.
It's professional and yeah, I like that. I think it's it's a good idea.
Right? If I could put on, like lashes in 3 seconds, oh man, somebody's got to come up with that.
Yeah, and they do.
They do. With hyaluronic acid.
Exactly. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, yeah. Pump up those lashes.
You are a seasoned, successful businesswoman, entrepreneur, mentor, creator. What has your experience been like as a female entrepreneur? And despite that most consumers are women, I'll go so far as to say that, and yet men, in my opinion, are still at the highest echelons of the beauty industry. How is that changing, and is it changing, and are you excited that things are changing?
You know, it's so funny because when I first started working, I was working in the music industry. Oh. And it's as sexist of an industry as you can even imagine. It is pretty much still that way today.
Yeah, it shows in some of those videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I said to myself, you know what? It's not that I was offended by it, but I'm like, you know what? This isn't my battle. I'm not meant to be in this. Right. I'm not going to fight for my rights because I'm female. Are you crazy? I'm going to go do this on my own. So that helped me become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So that sort of inner strength and that determination and that confidence has helped me in every decision I've made in the industry. So even if the top echelon is in the executive world, not in the entrepreneurial world. In the executive world, is primarily male dominated. It doesn't take away anything from me, and frankly, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to be, senior VP in a corporate American cosmetic company.
Because it isn't creative, or
it becomes operational, and then it's all about the bottom line. Yeah. And I work from the heart.
Yes.
I work for women. I want them to look and feel beautiful.
Yes.
That's my goal. And that pleases me. Yeah. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
And when you have the right intention in your business, then it becomes successful.
Right.
If you can deliver a product that is worthy.
Yes.
So that whole idea doesn't really impact my thinking. So not quite sure how to answer it.
You've answered it.
It doesn't really matter is, I guess, the answer.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I'd rather be on the creative side. I'd rather be on the entrepreneurial side.
Right.
Because, my husband would definitely say that I'm not so good with numbers. So anyway. Oh, well, I'm really good at other things, though.
You're really good. You are, indeed.
What, on that note, then, on that level, what is the best advice that you can offer to indie brands or startup beauty entrepreneurs?
Okay, so I think the first thing is find a point of difference. Find a product that really needs to be out there. Secondly,
which is increasingly difficult to do.
It's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. In fact, I'm not sure I'd enter the industry today, to be honest, because it's so saturated and women have they have such a hard time navigating around. I'm lucky because I have a big database of women that have bought my products for over 20 years.
Wow.
So launching Artisan L'uxe was a lot easier than launching the first brand, Sue Devitt Beauty. But then again, it was far less competitive. So I think so. Getting back to the real question is, one, have a point of difference with your product. That's number one. Two, make sure that you understand the industry and your channels of distribution, because you have to pursue them. No one's going to be knocking on the door saying, hey, what a great product. Hey, come to Sephora, or hey, we need you at Barney's, or Harvey Nichols is calling. Doesn't work that way today. Right. So make sure that you've got a special product, you've got a business plan, and that you've got enough financing, because there are all kinds of bumps in the roads that are expensive. They are delays left and right for various reasons that are completely out of your control, that end up costing you money, because eventually you're going to have fixed expenses and not enough cash flow. So that's where I see most people trip up. And then they start second guessing themselves, and then they're too afraid to spend money, and then they just fail. So I think, really important product first, business plan, financing, and then be confident. Like, really know that you're willing to do anything for your business. I mean, I've worked around the clock for decades because I really believe in it, and because I know that women really benefit from what I create. So that keeps me sustained.
And successful, I would add. How do you surround yourself with beauty? No, in any form.
Everything in my home. My home is my sanctuary, so that's number one. My garden is a really important part of my life. I live by the ocean. I'm always riding to the beach, or driving by the beach, or walking along the beach. Early in the morning, like, I don't like high sun at all. Like, if anyone wants to go beach walking at 11, it's not going to happen. It's like, it's either 7:30 in the morning, or it's like 7:30 at night. And then, I decorate with texture. So everything's very sensorial in my home. There's not a lot of bright color, but it's almost like a Zen garden. So I have a lot of influence from Asia and Africa, because I've traveled there so much, and I love that part of the world. And I find it very tranquil to surround myself with that. And then really good food. Like, somebody recently looked at my Instagram account, and the one thing, it was the funniest thing, come up completely out of left field. Wow, you really like to eat well, don't you? I didn't realize that there's so many food shots. Oh my God, I'm a little bit obsessed.
But you're a chef. You cook. You're an excellent cook, right?
Well, let's say I do like to eat. I do like to eat well. I love everything to be tasty. Whether you walk into a home, it's like, wow, the wow factor of someone else's home, or someone that lives on the ocean, or on a lake, or by water, or has a beautiful garden. My friend has a gorgeous outdoor garden with a pool, and it's just, I think always having a sensorial nourishment in your life is important. And that sort of works its way through, beauty and good food and entertaining, like good people. Make sure that you don't have toxic people around, or a lot of naysayers, or people love to tell you it can't be done. And so just choose wisely, because that's also another source of nourishment that also helps you on your journey.
I like that people are also a source of nourishment.
Yes, definitely.
It's like a social media feed. Try to have a beauty feed, right? Or a sensorial nourishment feed. That'll work. How do you find inspiration for color or a new product?
Boy, that's a big question. Usually in nature, usually from a garden or something like that. I find my garden's like my creative incubator. So I'll see things growing, and I'm like, wow, that would be amazing together. Or imagine blending those two things. Like, like with the packaging, for example, it's like a fleshy pink with like a gold foil that I've imported from Japan.
Two of my favorite colors, by the way, my all-time favorite colors.
So I think, just combining really beautiful colors together, and sometimes you see it in home decor or in a magazine. You might see it in a new car. But I think, you'll just see things on the street. It could be a painting. It could be art. And then just taking that and imagining it in a different way.
Which you're very good at.
Thank
you.
Do
you have any beauty rituals that you practice that keep you grounded?
Meditation. I also go to a Reiki healing center every Tuesday.
Okay. Is that out east in the Hamptons?
Yeah, it is. And it's in a winery. And yeah, it's
a meditation
amazing.
and wine.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, you don't drink wine at the time.
Oh, okay.
But you could before or after, I guess.
before or
Yeah,
after.
for sure.
Okay.
And then there are like 3 or 4 Reiki masters that come and do a healing on you. So I do that every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. The sun's setting, the deer are out in the fields, and it's just so open. It's a big, big open tent. So it's fantastic, and it just grounds you. And then the healing nature of the Reiki service is just unbelievable.
Which is a healing, but
It's an energetic
Yes,
healing.
an energetic healing. So without the laying of hands necessarily.
That's right. Yeah, it's an intelligence.
It's an intelligence.
So what happens is you sort of create the heat and the energy, and then they will comb your body.
Yes, they scan.
Not by touching, but just over, like with heat activation.
Yes.
And then the Reiki intelligence finds where you need healing. It could be emotional.
Yes.
You could have a problem with your ankle. You could have a
Right.
headache, a migraine.
Yeah.
But the energy will find its way to you. And I just find the whole process of that is really quite fascinating. And that ties in with meditation. I do a little yoga.
Yeah.
But I think, staying quite, fit if you can.
Yes.
As much as you can, bike riding, beach walking, even walking around a city, Central Park.
Yes.
Anywhere. Just find a park. Find some green space.
Speaking of meditation-ish, what do you think of CBD in skincare?
Right. Well, that's a good question.
Right.
Well, right. Because, I think there's a place for it, but I think it's already out of control. I haven't seen the
everywhere.
science to back that up, so I'm very much about science in skincare.
Yes.
So I know it's great marketing, and I know it's a great idea, and I know it's a really important product to use internally for aches and pains and things
Yes.
like that. I haven't seen the benefits on skin from a scientific point of view. So I'm not a believer yet.
Yes.
But I think the more people that say, okay, the hype's over, I'm done, I'm hearing about this from everywhere. It's like in my toothpaste and it's in
Right.
my hairbrush.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on.
Everywhere.
Yeah. It's like
beard
really.
oil.
Yeah. It's like, come on now.
Yeah.
All right. So you got to prove it to me. You got to prove to me as an R&D person that it works from a scientific structural level.
Yes.
And then I'm a believer. And honestly, I haven't seen that yet. Have you?
No, I haven't
Yeah.
yet, but I interviewed a doctor who is a neuroscientist, and she is writing a book on CBD, and she's quite the expert. And she even said that the verdict is still out. It is everywhere, but still more research needs to be done. So
From
it's
a
exciting.
topical, from a topical
Yes,
level.
from a
I
topical
agree.
and
Yeah,
either-
I don't see it
Yeah.
yet.
Also, even internally, more research needs to be done to determine how specifically and where it acts and for whom, et cetera. So
Yeah, I think we're still at the tipping point.
Yeah.
Where I know internally I've seen it benefit people, and
Yes.
I think it helps with insomnia, it helps with aches and pains, arthritis, and other ailments. But topically on your skin, I haven't seen the data to support that yet.
Yeah, I don't think the research is there yet for that.
Right.
On other things, there's obviously more research. But even in light of that research, she said that still work needs to be done. So
Yes.
I'm open to it. I'm
Sure.
excited, but also I'd like to see the data.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the research.
Yeah.
What's on your bucket list?
What haven't
Beauty
I
or
done?
non-beauty? I know. What haven't you
Let
done?
me
That's
see.
a tough question. What haven't you done?
Well,
Whether it's beauty or your life, anything.
Right.
Travels, countries.
I want to go back to Africa really soon. I was chairwoman of the advisory board of Africa Foundation for 9 years, and I went twice a year, and I really missed that.
Yes.
So I'm looking at some projects over in Kenya and Nigeria right now, which is
Okay.
exciting.
Yes.
And it's
Skincare
actually
projects? Or?
yeah, it's
Oh.
actually creating a brand for a multi-level marketing company so that African women, can become entrepreneurial.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that.
So there's already a platform from social media with 1 million followers.
Wow.
Yeah,
What is that
so
platform?
it's
Are you able
exciting.
to say?
I can't say yet.
No worries, not yet.
But
Let us know.
as soon as I can, let's come back and we'll talk about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's
Sure.
going to be amazing. And I think bringing that brand to America, because there's such a big African American community here, would be amazing as well.
Yeah, and especially it has that social component to it and that
Exactly.
philanthropic.
Exactly,
Yeah, and
exactly. And
altruistic.
female empowerment.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
because
love
African
that.
women are strong. Do you know
No
they
doubt.
support 5 people in their community and men only support 1?
Wow.
Yeah, it's
There
all
we go
about the
again.
girls.
The balance of power. Hashtag balance of power. That's,
Yeah.
that's a tag.
I like
okay.
that. Yeah.
So going back to Africa, anything
Going
else?
back to Africa, let's see. It's usually my bucket list is usually about traveling. So I want to do a culinary trip around Vietnam. Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing?
I love Vietnamese food.
Oh, I love. And I'd love to go to the Maldives. I haven't been there yet, so that's definitely on the bucket list. I'd like to take the Trans-Siberian from Kobe, Japan, through to Sweden, through Mongolia.
Wow.
It's a very exotic train, and it's about a 10-day trip. I'd love to do that.
Wow.
I've been to Bhutan. I've been all around the Himalayas. Love, love, love. Yeah. And all over Asia, deep sea diving in the Okinawa Islands and southern Japan. I mean, I've done a lot.
Yes,
I've trekked, Kilimanjaro. I've been to Mount Everest. I've been all over. So there's not a lot of places that I haven't been. Yeah, that I really want to go to.
Yes. How about Transylvania? Have you ever been to Transylvania?
No,
I found one. Maybe there's something, in the air or in the plants out there that have all those vampires, looking 25 when they're actually 105.
You know what? There's got to be something
to
it.
All right, that's an idea.
Forget CBD. We're on to Transylvania.
CBD, we're on to Transylvania. You heard it here first, folks.
And probably last.
Probably last. Is there a mantra by which you live? A particular affirmation that you find yourself repeating?
Well, I love the Buddhist philosophy about equilibrium, so finding a balance. And I love their philosophy, their belief system revolves around compassion, forgiveness, and equilibrium. So that's my thing, and that ties into the meditation element of my life that keeps me grounded. I think the mantra is just really joy, finding joy and spreading joy. That's really what I try to do, and I need to keep myself joyful to
you need
work
to keep yourself full
and keep inspired. Yeah, exactly. And I think it then shows in my work.
Yes.
And if I'm having a gray day, and it's rainy and cloudy, and I just can't get the joy going on, then I just take a break and I just go back to it the next day. Right. I think it's also about pause, putting your life on pause when you're just not feeling it. Yeah. Be kind to yourself. And therefore, then it sort of transcends to other people as well.
I like that, a purposeful pause.
Yes.
That pausing doesn't necessarily mean that you just won't do it or that you failed. It just means that it's time to refresh.
Yeah, you don't have to push yourself over your limit. I've learned that. I guess that's age as well and maturity. But
all 30 years of you, Sue.
29. What are you saying?
I'm so sorry. My apologies. I was 1 year off.
Yeah, I think finding the joy and then just being kind to yourself. And again, that transcends to others as well.
Who do you follow on social media, if you do, and why?
I follow a few celebrities. I like Nicole Kidman. I follow Oprah Winfrey, of course. I mean, love her. I've been on her show 4 times, and I can never get enough. I DVR Super Soul Sunday every Sunday.
I love Super Soul Sunday.
It's so good. Yeah. And so Oprah, Nicole Kidman. I like Reese Witherspoon. I think she's pretty funny. But I think the two of them together, because of Big Little Lies, I love that series. It's super fun. And then I follow Goop, and I follow, some other thought leaders like Bill Gates, and Marianne Williamson is amazing. So, yeah, just sort of and then, of course, some of the beauty influencers. There are so many great girls, young girls, really carving out a voice that's interesting.
In beauty and fashion?
In beauty, yeah. Fashion, not so much, but I do love the color and the glamour of fashion. That is always attractive to look at that, but it's so intense that it's hard to keep up with, and it's okay, after that, then what? I feel like I want more.
Yes.
So I'm not.
And if you had an extra $125,000, you too could have that shirt, or that skirt, or that gown,
or that one shoe,
or that one shoe. Thankfully, we could find beauty at less than $125,000.
Right. Let's keep it real, girls.
Let's keep it real. Seriously, aspire, inspire, and then keep it real.
That's right. Not to minimize that we can all be billionaires.
Of course, absolutely.
We can be if we focus.
If we focus.
Focus our attention.
Everything is possible.
It is.
That's what I love about this podcast.
Yeah.
So you also heard it here, folks, today. This is an open invitation to all those people you mentioned that you follow on social media. They are completely welcome and invited to join me on this podcast for an interview. It'd be amazing.
Awesome. I'll spread the word.
Spread the word. I'm putting it out there, sprinkling it out to the universe.
Great. Awesome. Good
Okay,
job.
speaking of, that question that I last asked, who do you follow on social media? Every time I ask that question, I realize no one says Dr. Shirley Madeira or Forever Fab MD. I'm beginning to, get really uptight
Well, that's
about
a given.
that. I mean, that's a given. Okay, it's
It's
a
a
given. Thank you.
given.
Thank you, Sue. You
Of
saved
course
me.
I
I'm just going to
follow
stop
you.
asking that question. Who do you follow on social media? Not Forever Fab MD and Dr. Shirley. Never mind.
Both are amazing. No, that's a given.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Speaking of social, you are quite the social butterfly. I run into you in lots of places, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere. I happen to think that being social is quintessentially important for age management and being youthful.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel about that? Why do you like being so social, which is amazing?
I think for me it's important because I didn't grow up here, so I've had to create my own family in my community. And being a product of New York for so long, I lived here 25 years.
Yes.
I moved here when I was four.
Four. Right, four. Do the math, Shirley. I told you. Numbers.
It's such a vibrant, energetic city, and you can literally go to 3 events or a dinner, a cocktail party, and see a friend afterwards, every day of the week.
Yes.
There's a new restaurant opening. There's a new entrepreneurial thing going on. There's a new boutique opening. There's a new exhibit somewhere.
Yes.
The Bolshoi Ballet's in town.
Yes.
I mean, it's just there's so much to do in New York that I'm so wired to be around people and with people. I just love the energy of that. And I love to be with my friends. I love to hear about what people are doing with their lives and their businesses. It's very inspiring. So I like to be out there in the mix.
Agreed. That's a new tag. Hashtag wired to win. Go Sue. Last 2 questions. The first one is called the Fast 5.
Okay.
So I'm going to just list a couple of options and say immediately what comes to your mind. Don't think about it. So there will be
God.
5 sets of 2. So the first one, airplane or cruise ship?
Airplane.
Of course. Hamptons or Saint-Tropez? Ooh, a pause. A
They're
purposeful
both so
pause.
good. Can I choose both?
Yes, you may. All right, I'll go
Okay.
easy on you. The third one, mascara or moisturizer?
Moisturizer.
Ocean blue or sky blue?
Ocean blue.
Ski or après ski?
Après ski, of course.
I'm with you on that one. Last question, beautiful Sue Devitt. What are your top 5 recommendations for living a fabulous and beautiful life? This is called a Fab 5. What are
Okay.
your 5?
So I think travel, continue to inspire yourself, and I think that's best done by traveling and experiencing different people in different cultures and different nature environments.
Yes.
I think obviously a regimented skincare routine because you want to look beautiful and you've got to treat your skin while you're traveling. And we talked about the stress and the havoc on your skin when you are traveling. But just even if you're home or even if you're a mom or you're a young girl, haven't had kids yet, and you're just starting out in your career. We all are under an element of stress at some point in our lives. And so
Yes.
keeping your skin looking radiant and healthy and beautiful and buoyant and hydrated is critically important, I think. Because, people look at you and they say, oh, she's really taking care of herself. And all of a sudden you jump to the top of the heap, you know?
Yeah.
I think people really do respond to that. I think eating well is important. And, stay away from processed foods as much as possible. Keep your sugar balance levels. So eat 3 times a day. Try not to snack unless you really have to. But definitely healthy living, healthy eating is part of the, criterion for living well and aging well.
Yes.
Sleep is, of course, important. And, we go through periods of our life where we're not sleeping well or we're traveling and our, biological clock's off a little bit. So I think mindfully, like I have a meditation app. I have several of them actually, and I listen to meditations before I go to sleep and when I wake up. So I set my intentions in the morning and I meditate through the app at night, and the music just like takes you there.
Yes.
You're just snoozing away. And so is that 5 yet?
Number 5 is next.
Number 5, what would number 5 be? That's such a great question.
You have traveled to be inspired. Of course, have a skincare regimen. Eat well to stay well. No processed foods, reduce sugar. Sleep is important. Set an intention with a meditation app. And number 5
Is friends and family.
Yeah.
Sorry, that should have probably been number 1. I'm just such a bad
No
daughter,
particular order.
sister.
Fab 5 is just fabulous all around, regardless of the
good.
order.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
good.
necessarily in that order.
Not necessarily in that order. We get it. It is still fabulous. They
Yeah.
are still fabulous. There's your 5.
Okay, good.
You've been listening to the fabulous Sue Devitt on Jet Set Beauty, Global Trends for High Performance Lifestyles. Thank you so much, Sue, for your time and your energy and your intelligence. If you have enjoyed this podcast and you want to delve into this bio beauty, check out artisanluxebeauty.com. Artisan, Artisan, Luxe, Luxe, beauty.com. And you'll meet with rich color and indeed high performance science met with globally sourced botanicals. Thank you, Sue Devitt. We really appreciate you. Thank you, listeners, for listening to this week's episode of the Forever Fab podcast. And as always, stay beautiful and fabulous inside and out.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you,
so
Sue.
fun.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.